Hey guys, OG Albina here, bringing you guys a pretty cool video today, kind of to build some hype around the Crown Tundra, which is coming out soon. I believe on the 22nd of October, we'll be getting a new DLC full of a bunch of really cool returning mons, and I was kind of sitting back, I was looking at the list, because if you don't know, there was actually a list that was leaked. You know, the games were data mined, and we can kind of pretty much tell everything that is going to be coming back in the DLC, even if it hasn't been revealed to us already. We know most of what's coming back. And I was looking through this list, and as a Draft League player, as a singles competitive player, there's a lot of Pokemon I'm really excited. The prospect of them coming back and what they can potentially do in the competitive scene, stuff like that, especially in the Wi-Fi Draft League type scene. So I wanted to do a video today going over, the 10 most, excited mons, the 10 mons I'm most excited for, to come back, and, why I'm excited for them. I know some different things they do, and just build some hype. I'm really juiced for this. But before I jump into the actual list, do want to mention only a good 40-50% of you guys that are watching the vids each and every time they go up are actually subbed to the channel. So go ahead and hit that sub button for me. It's completely free. It's really easy, and you can always change your mind later. And I really do appreciate your support going forward. We have some plenty of great content planned for the Crown Tundra DLC, whether it be Wi-Fi battles, whether it be draft leagues on draft league discussion videos like this, different lists, and all that good stuff. But yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump on to number 10. All right, so first off, in no particular order, by the way, I should mention that these aren't in any particular order or anything like that. It's just kind of 10 mons that I'm really excited about, about coming back, is going to be Victini. Now, Victini is a fire and psychic type, which is a really good typing offensively, by the way. Really being able to punish a lot of the things I want to switch in on psychics, being like the steel types of the world. It obviously gets access to V-Create, which is kind of its signature move. I know Rayquaza and a couple of their mons have gotten access to it in the since its original inception, but it was designed for Victini, and it's a ridiculously powerful move. Base 180 physical fire type stab, which despite it being 100 attack, that coming off of Victini is so ridiculously hard to switch into when you factor in the coverage that this thing has on the physical and special side. So on the physical side, you also have cool moves like Bolt Strike, and you have U-Turn for momentum. You have Zenhebit obviously as your stab. You have plenty of cool options in that way. You get Flame Charge to boost your speed, which is really cool. Other physical potential options that you have, those are going to be the main for the physical option, but then on the special side, you have options like Blue Flare, which is ridiculously strong. You have Energy Ball for grasses, you have Dazzling Gleam for dragons, you have Glaciate for dragons. Plenty of crazy options. You get access to Trick, and you get access to Stored Power, so you can be some cool, Flame Charge, Weakness Policy type set, which is obviously really cool. You get access to Trick Room, so you're a good niche Trick Room user. You have Final Gambit and Trick. So many cool options that this Pokemon has in a Draft League setting. It's absolutely amazing. It's really phenomenal. I think a cool buff that this thing got this gen is actually going to be getting access to heavy duty boots. One of the big things with Victini, one of the ways you can really hold it at bay is making sure that you have rocks up to consistently chip that thing down and punish it for going for those U-turns and pivoting in and out and stuff like that. But when that's not an option, if it's heavy duty boots and you don't need the scarf or the band or the life orb or the extra bell or something like that, that's obviously absolutely amazing for it. So I think this is really cool for Victini, that item in particular, and I think it's going to be awesome in a limited dex, and it's an absolute blast to use, so I'm really juiced for it to come back. So next up, we have a Pokemon that, if you knew it was coming back in the game and you know me, I'm excited for this thing to come back. I talk about it all the freaking time. It's going to be Salamence. Definitely one of my favorite Pokemon ever. It's definitely in my top 2. I always fluctuate between it and Metagross being in my, my number 1, my number 2 favorite Pokemon ever. Absolutely love this thing. I used it recently in APA Evolution. If you haven't watched our movie to that season, definitely go check it out. It was our kill leader. It absolutely killed it. It blew my expectations out of the water using it in a competitive setting, which was awesome. And this, like Teeny, I think this Pokemon was a big benefactor of the heavy duty boots. This thing is so naturally bulky, especially when you factor in an Intimidate on top of that, being a great physical sponge and great physical pivot, not only for Dragon Dance sets, making it a lot easier for it to set up in that notion, but also just being a great defensive one as well. I ran plenty of really bulky Roost, like Toxic type Salamence set. It's like, it even gets access to Wish, which is really cool. Boost just really ups its longevity immensely, especially when a generation where you can't use Z moves on Salamence, which does suck because Z Salamence was amazing. Being able to use that Flying Stab was awesome, especially for a giant supersonic Sky Strike nuke. But something that it's getting access to in the DLC is going to be dual Wing Beat, and that really I didn't get to use dual Wing Beat Salamence because we didn't know that it was getting it, obviously, but this thing getting dual Wing Beat is going to be legitimately amazing for it, because not only is it very, very versatile in the sense that you can go full physical, full special, mixed, all that stuff. You got access to Hurricane, Air Slash, and the TRs and stuff like that that's coming into the game. But now that it gets access to a reliable physical stab, Dragon Dance sets are going to be so much better than they were before. Before, I would very much so lean on Scarf Ments. I would lean on, you know, like mixed life orb wall breaking sets, or even just full special Ments and stuff like that. Now, the versatility of Salamence goes up, you know, tenfold, which I think is so great for this thing. Like I said, it's incredibly versatile, it's incredibly fun, and it's the mascot pick. We gotta go with it. I recently had a new Miami Mets logo done. The official reveal and stuff like that will obviously be when, you know, draft leagues come up in the Crown Tundra and stuff like that, but I'll probably throw it on the screen right here or something like that. Looks absolutely amazing. Shouts to John Jr. He makes phenomenal logos and does great work. Go give him your money immediately. This logo was made for me in like the span of 2 days too, which is absolutely insane. Genuinely love it. Really excited to use the logo, and I'm really excited to potentially draft Salamence in a draft league coming up soon. The King is back in a Landorus Therian. This is an absolute titan in the format. Lando T is one of the mons that was, you know, heralded in Gen 7 for sure as one of the best mons in the format, and I'm 100% on the Lando T train. In draft, it's so ridiculously good. It's so ridiculously versatile. This thing, obviously being ridiculously strong with that base 145 attack, having phenomenal natural bulk with its great stat line, as well as access to Intimidate, great move pool, and access to moves like Earthquake and Stone Edge, which is obviously, you know, great coverage options. It gets access to U-turn, to pivot, it gets Stealth Rock and Swords Dance to bulk up and Rock Polish, which is great. It has great utility moves and you know, knockoff and defog and things like that, which is great. Toxic is obviously a really solid thing on as well. It can go mixed, it can even go special. I've seen Calm Mind Lando pop off before. It's a phenomenal Pokemon, and it's just such a good glue and centerpiece to any team you you know, might have. And this thing offensively is so scary. It's so hard to switch in, even if you're going a really defensive Lando, because you know, you needed to check a really scary physically offensive threat on your opponent's team, which it will be able to do most of the time. It's still gonna hit like an absolute truck the whole time, which is obviously great. And I think a really big benefit, you know, good thing for Lando this gen is the loss of hidden power. Hidden power ices were very common when you know, have a Landorus on your roster and things like that. So potentially being able to avoid that, and you know, being able to position yourself for a setup sweep a little bit easier to where that Pokemon that you walled before, you know, could just tech on AP3 Ice and do a good 60% to you. That's obviously amazing. And obviously resist barriers and things are, you know, an option. It did lose access to Z moves, which does suck for offensive Lando. I won't lie there. It's definitely very unfortunate, but I don't think it kills it all too much, as much as people are saying, that's for sure. It's a lot like Salamence, where I think it gained a lot of things in this DLC and in this new gen, while also losing a little bit too. But I think overall it's still going to be absolutely amazing. People sleep on Lando. This thing's an absolute beast, and I definitely want to try it out in the near future. It's a Pokemon I'm very comfortable with using, and it's an absolute blast to do so as well. Oh man, we got Coco next, and already in Gen 7. So we'll preface it with this. Already in Gen 7, Coco was definitely my favorite Pokemon to use ever. In the history of my draft league career, I've had the most consistent success with Tapu Koko, and for good reason. This Pokemon Gen 7 was phenomenal. It was great with a Z move. It could set up, it could, you know, pivot, it could defog, it could set dual screens, it could be physical, it could be special, it could be mixed, all that stuff. And Coco got nothing but absolutely buffed in this new gen. It got so many amazing new toys. It got access to Play Rough. It gets access to Close Combat now. So those physical sets are going to be so much better. It's insane. One of the big things with Coco is the fact that it didn't get Play Rough in the last gen. So physical wasn't as good, despite having a much higher physical attack than special. You very much so often saw special just because the coverage was a little bit nicer. It also got access to stored power, I believe, which is really nice. It's a cool way that I saw it actually, this gen, it's able to beat, you know, two of its main counters in the Nidos, which are actually coming back as well. You can definitely run those stored power weakness policy type sets with Iron Defense, Calm Mind, and stuff like that, which is definitely a cool buff as well. And then the big one that it got that a lot of people are scared of, and controversial opinion, I don't think this necessarily breaks it. I think it makes it by far the best Pokemon in the format, but I don't think it necessarily breaks it, is going to be Coco getting access to Rising Voltage. Now, Rising Voltage, if you don't know, is a special move. I think it's base 70 power. Let me double check. Rising Voltage is a base 70. It's a base 70, I believe, electric type special move. But what it does in Electric Chain is it actually doubles it, making it go up to 140 before stab boost and before terrain boost and things like that. And Coco obviously auto sets the terrain on switching. So this basically gives it a move that is 100% accurate, stronger than Thunder, and is going to absolutely rip through teams. When you factor this in with the fact that it can be physical, it can be special, it can be, you know, bulkier sets, it can do so much for a team. This Pokemon is going to be absolutely nuts, and I do think a lot of leagues are going to impulse ban it, and it might even be bannable. It really might even be bannable. I won't lie and say like this thing's, you know, it's not, you know, like I know all and see all. I think it definitely deserves some testing. It deserves some time to, you know, be looked at in the meta, but in a limited dex, this thing is by far the best mod in the format. It's going to keep its crown. I felt as if it was at least close to that title before. You could argue it was, you know, I think it was guaranteed top 3. You could argue if it was number 1, number 2, number 3 for sure. But now I think it's pretty much undisputed. This thing is absolutely ridiculous, and I really hope it's not banned just so I can use it. Part 5, I had to throw my boy on it. This Pokemon definitely isn't as powerful as the big dogs we've been mentioning, those top tier, tier 1s, high point Mons. But Metagross, I'm really excited for this thing to come back, man. Not only just from, you know, a little kid, like a fan perspective. Again, this fluctuates between my first and second favorite Pokemon of all time. I love its design. I think it's such a sick mod. It looks so dope. And I love Steven Stone, by far the best champion, and I'll fight to the death on that. But this Pokemon's very good in the draft setting too, and something I'm really happy about with this DLC is we're getting a lot of the good steel types back, and that's so nice in a draft league setting. I felt like if you didn't get one of the top tier steals early on in the draft, then you were kind of shafted, and a lot of the times, you know, if you just didn't get situated with the correct steel tip and you didn't grab it at the perfect time. And a lot of those great steals are coming back. We're going to talk about a couple of them, you know, going forward on this list. Metagross coming back is awesome. This thing is very, very strong with that base 135 attack. Same thing as Salamence, which is, you know, a very, very imposing special physical attack set. It has 130 base defense, 80 base HP, and 90 speed F, so it's very, very bulky. It has a decent middling speed here that's always important to fill on a team. 95 special attack is definitely usable, so you can definitely use special sets on Metagross to an extent. It has access to agility, and its move pool is immense. It has great ways of hitting like steel types that would potentially pivot in on it. It gets the elemental punches minus fire punch. It gets like cool options like power up punch and niche matchups and things like that. It gets tricked to cripple things. It's a really good Pokemon. I really like Metagross as a nice defensive glue, a nice really strong tank, a good pivot to really put some offensive pressure on opposing teams. And I'm really excited for just not only just Metagross come back because I'm a big fanboy, but just good, solid, quality steel types, more of them coming back into the format. So I'm really excited to see Meta come back. Now, earlier we were talking about Tapu Koko being my favorite Pokemon to use in Draft League, you know, all time, by far. I think number 2 has to be Zygarde, and I am so excited to see this thing come back. I think this thing is going to be ridiculous in a, you know, in a Galar deck setting. Obviously, that Dragon Ground typing is phenomenal. You see it being great with Garchomp, which has also come back and just missed out on our list. Spoilers, just missed out on our list. I'm really excited for Chomp to come back too. But Zygarde is, it's my personal favorite because I feel like Zygarde is incredibly easy to build around. It's incredibly easy to formulate a team that, you know, really supports and, you know, backs up Zygarde very well. And it's just so good. It's so ridiculously bulky. 108 HP, 121 defense, and 95 special defense is so good in a setup-oriented mon like Zygarde, getting access to Dragon Dance and Coil and things like that, which is awesome. And no hidden power? No hidden power means this thing, not only, it's set up on some mons before with hidden power. There were some mons you could avoid the 2 KO from HP Ice from with, you know, a properly invested Zygarde. But now that there's none of that, this thing is going to find so many opportunities to be such a general, huge nuisance to teams. And not only that, you still have options to go banded. 1,000 Arrows is such a ridiculously dumb, cheesy move, and I love it. Being able to click a ground move, a stab ground move that hits everything, no matter what, is actually really, really ridiculous, and it's really awesome on banded sets. It gets access to extreme speed for some great priority. The only downside with Zygarde is going to be Outrage is its best reliable Dragon Stab. It did get access to Scale Shot this gen, which I actually think is really cool. Potential Dragon Dance sets and things like that. just so you don't have to lock in Outrage. Before, you only had access to Outrage and Dragon Tail. Dragon Tail is a great option though on bulky coil sets. You can go double dance sets with Dragon Dance plus coil. Mono Arrows is a very viable option in a lot of matchups just because of the fact of how spammable it is. This Pokemon's incredibly straightforward to build around and build with, and I absolutely love it. It's another Pokemon I've had immense success with before, and I really hope I get it, in a draft here coming up soon. Continuing on the list, we're zooming right through. We're going to go into a Pokemon that was just recently in our IBA Season 6 run, and that is going to be Celestia. Now, this Pokemon, another very easy Pokemon to build around, incredibly versatile, incredibly good at what it does. Now, Celestia is obviously ridiculously bulky. You see the stat line on your screen: 97 HP, 103 defense, 101 speed def, but also has 107 base special attack and 101 attack, meaning you have an opportunity to get his beast boost very easily in any one of those stats, depending on the matchup you want. If you want to be that specially defensive or that physically defensive tank, easy. If you want to be a setup sweeper with autotomizing your phenomenal coverage on both sides, easy. You are so bulky, you're going to live any one hit. Weakness policy sets are disgusting. Defensive leech protect, or sub protect, sub leech sets are amazing. And then this thing got access to cosmic power. Do you really want to play against a cosmic power Celestia? No, the answer is no. This thing is so ridiculously hard to kill. It's so ridiculously hard to pinpoint the set that it wants to run as well. I've even seen cooler sets, like I've seen what do you call it? I've seen like AV sets with like flame charge and things like that have swept before. So Celestia is an incredibly versatile mon. It's incredibly ridiculously hard to prep for. It's really easy to build with though, and it's really easy to build a great team around it. And it's gonna be fun to play with and not fun to play against, but I'm excited that it's come back. And it's another great steel type, so that's obviously great. From one steel type to the next up we got Heatran, and Heatran is a Pokemon that I felt got way too much crap in Gen 7 in a draft setting. A lot of people really don't like Heatran because of that 4x ground weakness, but I think it's so much better than that. And it's another one that definitely benefits from no hidden power ground. A lot of those, especially offensive threats that it checked before, it checks even better now because you can't tech on the HP ground in order to, take advantage of it and take it out. On Heatran, incredibly bulky. It's a great, pivot. It's a great just offensive powerhouse. Magma Storm, is a really, really great trapping move. Incredibly strong in the, that base 100 coming off stab. But, being able to trap and get that residual, it has access to taunt. It's a great rocker. It gets earth power to hit the potential, pivots into Magma Storm and things like that might want to, be annoying for it, like rocks and things like that as well. And one cool thing that I think Heatran actually gets access to this gym, which is going to be really cool, is going to be the option to run Scarf Eruption sets, which is really, really cool. And just because of the fact that before, it obviously got access to Eruption, but it was nature locked to a quiet nature, which isn't very beneficial in a lot of matchups. It's really hard to set up a Trick Room, option for Heatran, getting in safely, and then spam Eruption. Really, really difficult. But in this instance, when you can, technically nature minute to a timid or a modest nature, throw a Scarf on there, throw a Scarf Eruptions, stab Eruptions from a 130 special attack set. That's really hard to deal with, and it's really hard to switch into consistently. Even if you do have a good pivot into a Rocks plus that Eruption, it's probably going to put it in range of being 2-hit KO the next time. So Heatran's really versatile, it's really strong, it's really bulky, it's just a great overall Pokemon, and I'm really excited to see it come back. I know everybody was waiting for this one. We got my boy Tornadus Therian coming back, and oh man, not only was this Pokemon phenomenal in the gen prior, being a great pivot with regen and just a general nuisance and never really dying. Honestly, being a flying type that just didn't care about rocks too much, you were actually gaining health regardless of rocks being up, which is awesome. It has a great move pool. It had a great, support move pool and getting access to like Defog and Taunt and Knockoff and U-Turn and great options like that. Hurricane and Heat Wave and Focus Splash / Superpower could go physical special. A bunch of cool options that could even bulk up, which is really cool. It was already a great Pokemon in Gen 7, but Gen 8 was so damn nice to Torn. Not only does it have access to heavy duty boots, which is going to be what it runs in 90% of matchups, because it's that good, being able to get that guaranteed 33 back with the regen, not having to worry about rocks at all, is ridiculous for Torn. But they also gave him Nasty Plot. And having that Pokemon that can come in, Nasty Plot up, do ridiculous damage, say you even can force it out, it just switches out and gains health back. So like it's absolutely ridiculous what this mon can do, because not only does it has access to do that. It can still do its same old shenanigans from before. It can still be that, you know, taunt utility set, you know, with like Mono Hurricane as its like real attacking move. It can be Assault Vest. It can be, you know, a bunch of different things. It can be Rocky Helmet. It gets taunt and, you know, Tailwind and Toxic and a bunch of different options. Decent coverage as well. This is the definition of a glue Pokemon, and they took that and set it up to, you know, an even higher level and making it, you know, a great centerpiece of a team this gen. I think Torn is going to be absolutely ridiculous in draft, and definitely a Pokemon on my radar. That's for damn sure. And for the last one, we're going to talk about another personal favorite of mine, and that is going to be Latios. Regular Latios is coming back, and boy, another Pokemon that got crazy buffs this gen. Now, Latios was already an amazing Pokemon. It's very strong. It has a great offensive typing, and it's very difficult to deal with if, you know, built around correctly and you have proper supporting pieces to, you know, help it hit the things that it doesn't hit. Specs, Dracos, and Psychics are going to be rained down whenever this thing's going to come in. It's going to Draco, and Draco again. It's very hard to switch into this thing, that's for sure, because Psychics are chunking most of those fairies. It gets access to Calm Mind and even Dragon Dance. It gets Roost, it gets Dual Screens, it gets Defog, it gets, you know, a bunch of really, really great options. It gets Shadow Ball to hit opposing Psychics and things like that. So it was already a phenomenal Pokemon. But then they turned around and they gave it 3 things. They gave it 4 things that are great for it. They gave it Mystical Fire. Mystical Fire allows it to hit Steel super effectively on the special side. It did not have access to Earth Power or Flamethrower or anything like that before. Phenomenal tool for Latios. Not only to hit Steel types, but also Dark types. They gave it Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere for Lati is great. Your main pivots in a Lati, in fact, aren't usually fairies. It's usually bulky darks, you know, fat Spadef darks a lot of the time. And Lati being able to hit those things super effectively for a good amount of damage is awesome. Your T-Tar is no longer switched in and not caring about Surfs. It's getting smashed by Aura Spheres. Not necessarily getting outcooked, but definitely getting hit very, very hard, which is awesome. It got access to Agility, which is also really, really great. I've seen some really scary Agility stored power type sets with Weakness Policy decimate my buddy Jason and Evo and, you know, other people in APA Classic. I've seen, you know, really get manhandled by that set, or even just Agility Calm Mindsets can be really scary. Agility 3 attacks, Life Orb, like it gives it another option to potentially be that setup sweeper and not have to deal with those Scarfers revenging it. And then it also got access to Baton Pass. Whether your league allows Stat Pass or not, Baton Pass is a great asset to it. If your league even just allows Drive Pass, allowing it to grab momentum, get switches into those fighting type breakers, those offensive steals on the fairies, you know, those things that really take advantage of the passive switch into Latios. Absolutely amazing. I played a game recently where I had Latios and Mega Mawile on the same team, and obviously Mega Mawile isn't going to be using Sword and Shield, unfortunately, unless they like drop a bombshell on us and say, here are Megas. But I drafted Latios, and I had a draft with Latios and Mega Mawile, and the only Lati pivot on my opponent's team was Umbreon, and every time that happened, every time I brought in my Lati, I click Baton Pass, I get a free Mawile, and I get to kill something. And, you know, Latios really functions like that with a lot of really strong Pokemon, and I think this is obviously a great buff for it, but the main two are obviously going to be that Mystical Fire and that Aura Sphere buff. Phenomenal for it. Lati's a really fun mon, and it just got better this gen, so you really can't complain about that. But yeah, that is going to be my list. I'm pretty sure all of these Pokemon are coming back unless the leak is incorrect, and, you know, the stuff that I saw was incorrect. If so, it's really sad. I'm really bummed, but I'm really excited for Crown Tundra. I hope you are too, and I hope you consider dropping a sub just so you can see all the great content we have planned. I'm absolutely ecstatic. I really want to take this content on the channel to the next level. I want to take my skills as a player to the next level, and I hope you guys are, you know, willing to join me on that journey and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.